Hiya and welcome back to Makeup and Metaphors with myself, Anya, where we usually read books and serve looks, but today we've got a little bit of a different video because I wanted to do a little bit of an in-depth review on my recent experience with Invisalign. I've had Invisalign now since last August, so just under a year, maybe around 10 months. It would have been slightly less, but due to being quarantined, I wasn't able to go and get some of my new retainers, so I kind of had to be stuck for a month in one set, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. If you are considering getting Invisalign or looking into it, or somebody that you know has it and you want to find out a little bit more, then this is the exact video that you should be watching. I'm going to aim to answer all of your questions, and if I don't answer the specific query that you have, just pop it in the comments and I'll get back to you. So first off, the treatment that I got was called Invisalign Lite. There are many different kinds of Invisalign. There's Invisalign Full, there's Invisalign Lite, there's Invisalign i7 and Invisalign Express, and I think there's Invisalign Teen as well, that's like specifically for teenagers. But thankfully I fell into the Invisalign Lite category, which is kind of for not as severe cases. So full Invisalign would be for kind of complicated cases. You get unlimited amount of trays and unlimited amount of revisions. But for Invisalign Lite, you only get a certain amount of trays and then I think 2 or 3 sets of revisions. I felt like if there was something else I wanted to change, I could have. And I even was able to have a second set of revisions just to close a gap between the teeth on my bottom, which I'll show you in a minute. So why did I bother getting Invisalign? A lot of people had said to me, oh, your teeth are good enough, your teeth are fine. But actually, they had been bothering me for quite a while. I'll see if I can insert some pictures here of what they looked like. They were by no means like god awful or ugly or anything like that, but they were just a bit almost childish in my eyes. Like the 2 front teeth kind of went down a lot further than the other teeth. The 2 teeth here were back a good bit, and my canines were quite sharp and spiky. All things that you kind of associate with, in my eyes anyway, kind of childish teeth. I had looked into the idea of veneers, but they're just so expensive. I had even looked into getting veneers in like Turkey, but after seeing how they file down your teeth to basically nubs and pop them on, and you still have to get them replaced every 10 to 15 years, so the cost would then just occur all over again. As some of you know, my wedding was supposed to be next month, so what kind of inspired me to do this was the idea that I could have a really good smile for my wedding. They had actually started to slant back a little bit more. I have read somewhere that as you get older, your teeth tend to kind of go a little bit concave. They tend to slant inwards, and that was something that I just wanted to stop. But I had kept putting it off because I had ended up with really bad dentist anxiety due to a dentist that I saw here in the UK just over a year ago, and I ended up getting a root canal with them. Unfortunately, they refused to give me more numbing, and they ended up basically starting the root canal off when I wasn't numb at all, and it was a very horrendous process. If anyone's had a root canal, it's not the nicest thing in the world. I didn't know what it was going into it, and I actively didn't research it. I actively went against every nerve in my body usually goes towards researching something before I get it done, but I knew that I had to get it done, and if I looked up the videos, maybe I would be scared. So the fact that the dentist hadn't listened to me when I told them that I wasn't numb was really upsetting, and I had a lot of anxiety going back to a dentist after that. Well, thank God that my new dentist Rebecca at Rosacre listened to everything that I had to say, all of my worries, all of my anxieties, always had time. I researched which dentist to go to quite a lot, quite in depth, especially after what I had just gone through with another dentist. And Rosacre Dental in Bearsted in Maidstone really stood out because it had a lot of really glowing reviews, and it was a little cottage. It was really bougie, really cute. I had emailed a few other dental practices as well, and the responses had been quite short, abrupt, blunt, even though I had had a few questions. But the response that I got from the manager at Rosacre was really in depth and really inviting, so that was the first place that I went to check out, and ultimately where I stayed. So what happens at the official first appointment for your Invisalign? You don't end up with braces straight away. There is actually quite a procedure that goes into it. So at my first appointment, I discussed what I wanted to happen with my teeth. I said that I wanted the bottom ones to be almost dead straight like that, which is what they are now, and I wanted the top 2 here pushed forward, and I had a huge chip on this top tooth here. I basically wanted it even up. So I'll show you some of the professional before pictures that I had taken when I went there. So as you can see, they weren't quite as perfect as some people were saying. I had kind of been able to smile without showing my bottom teeth. I used to kind of do this like stretch my top lip across it in an effort to make them look like they were all even, and really I just looked like a bit of an idiot. So at this first appointment, basically my mouth was examined, my gums were tested, so it almost felt like a pen or like a really blunt needle was just kind of poked into my gums around my mouth, and the dentist then relayed that back to the dental nurse that was there, and I'm guessing that the numbers meant like the density of my gums or something along those lines, just to make sure that my gums were actually healthy enough to have the teeth shift. As well as that, like there was also an x-ray called for my teeth, but because I had quite a lot of x-rays already in my life, both for my teeth and for my back. I had an x-ray of my mouth quite recently to have some wisdom teeth removed, so I was just able to send for that. I'm going to put that x-ray up here as well, just to show you kind of how bad my wisdom teeth were. So if you think, oh, I can't get Invisalign, I've got impacted wisdom teeth that need to come out, that's exactly what I had. I was supposed to get my wisdom teeth out as a teenager. I went to a dentist in Ireland. They said, yeah, they need to come out straight away. They're impacted, they're splitting your gums open. It was horrendously painful, but because I was traveling to Thailand soon afterwards, I put it off. I never went back to it. I knew that getting your teeth out was something that a lot of people had anxiety about and were scared about, and to be honest, I just repressed it. Whenever I was stressed, my wisdom teeth would flare up, it would be so painful, I would take some painkillers, and I knew if I was stressed because my wisdom teeth would hurt. And they were coming to the surface, so much so that when I closed my mouth, all of my back teeth would rest on these impacted wisdom teeth. They were growing horizontally, so I'm sure I can point to it on the x-ray here that you can see that they were literally growing into my other teeth, so much so that I had to have the next tooth removed. You can probably see the gap in my x-ray there, where I had to have the tooth removed because the wisdom tooth just grew into it and broke it, and it ended up infected and very painful. And if I had just had my wisdom teeth out, I would still have that tooth. I'm lucky that it was in the back of my mouth because I didn't have to have an implant or a replacement. If that had been a different tooth, obviously I would have had it replaced, but you can't see it when I smile, so it doesn't really impact me at all. It was quite a process to get my wisdom teeth out. It obviously wasn't part of my Invisalign treatment to have the wisdom teeth out, but after I explained to my dentist that I was going through that process with the NHS, she assured me that it's absolutely fine and that we could have the trays scanned to just the back, because with Invisalign Lite, I think it's just the first 7 teeth that they focus on. Even though they cover all the rest and kind of hold them in place, it's more the front teeth that they really straighten. After months and months of being basically thrown and passed from one NHS dentist to the next, one NHS dentist saying, no, we can't take out your wisdom teeth, we're sending you to the hospital saying, I don't know why you've been sent here, and sending me to another NHS dentist, and I would get so worked up getting ready to get my wisdom teeth out, and then they would say no. And it was very disappointing, and again, it just kind of ruined my idea of dentists and going to the dentist and trusting dentists. Eventually I ended up at a hospital and they just took them out. So I had already started my treatment when I had my wisdom teeth extracted. I was a few months into it, so that was no issue at all. If that's something that's stopping you, then don't let it. Just talk to the Invisalign dentist about it and you should be absolutely fine. Just in case you don't know what Invisalign looks like, they are literally just these little clear aligners here. I would pop them in, but they actually won't fit now because I have finished my treatment. So this is one of, it's not too early, this would be an earlier one, and you can see with my bite, these teeth are behind. This is an earlier one on the bottom. You can see that all my teeth were slanted to one side. They come in a little bag like this, and it has obviously your name on it, and then whatever the doctor's name is that's making it. And it basically says how many trays are going to be in it all together and what number you're on. So when I thought I was getting Invisalign for the first time, I assumed that there would be a mold taken of my teeth, but it's actually so much more modern than that now. There's a device that's literally like a little scanner that just goes into your mouth, they move it over your teeth, and it basically 3D scans your entire mouth. So there's every single little detail is taken. That is then put up on the screen in front of you, and you can move it all around and see this 3D rendering of your mouth, and they can show you kind of a progress of what your teeth should look like by the end of the course before the revisions. Hello, can I help you? No, okay, thank you. So after you agree and sign this rendering of what your mouth is going to look like and how your teeth are going to move and how many trays you're going to have, then it's sent away and your trays are basically 3D printed, I assume. And I received a little box like this on my first visit, and in the little container, it was quite exciting actually. So in the little box, see these little lines that are on it? These are actually the lines that are kind of on the retainers themselves. I'm not sure if you can see. So when you open it up, then on the inside you get your box or your little holder to keep your teeth in. Now I'm really disorganized, so I left this home all the time. It's a good idea to buy. I bought some really cheap ones on Amazon just to have in my purse all the time, because if you wrap it up in tissue, there is a danger that you'll accidentally just put that in the bin. So you get this, and then you get these chewies which help when you put your retainers in. You can just chew down on them, bite down on them, and it just keeps them like fixed into place. And then as well, they just give you some little cleaning crystals. I was on weekly changes, so every 7 days I could change. So say for instance, they were like installed on the Tuesday, then every Tuesday I would go on to the next retainer, which to me was brilliant because I saw movement really quickly. I kept a lot of my retainers here, which looks like a serial killer's like human teeth box, but I had read online, just in case you get one that doesn't fit, you then should go back to the previous one while you wait for it to get rescanned. That did happen to me once, that I put it on and attachment on it wasn't correct. I'll talk about attachments in a minute, but the attachment on it wasn't correct, so it didn't fit on. But I was told by my dentist to just go on to the next one, which then even sped up the process even more, so I was fine. What are attachments then? Attachments, they're also called buttons as well if you look them up. It's almost like white enamel material, and they just pop a little bit on your tooth so that when you can clip these on, so if you look here for instance, see there's a little bit of a, almost like a space holder, so that when you pop this in, it just clips onto your teeth. And I know that that might sound like a really weird experience, but it gets to be normal so easy. So I was told that my treatment would be between 7 and 9 months, and that's exactly what happened even with the pandemic. I would get around 4 trays at a time, so I would clip in a new one and then I'd get 3 as well. Even though the dentist had the whole batch of them, it was to make sure I was coming in, and they would keep checking that my gums were healthy, keep checking that there wasn't like recession happening. There is a danger that when your teeth move quite fast, the gums can recede up, like they won't keep clinging onto the teeth. Thankfully I didn't have that. This gum has gone up a teeny tiny little bit more, but it's really not noticeable at all. I don't mind. I knew that it was a very small risk that it could happen. One of the questions that I got was it worth it? Does it work? It's worth it if you do it correctly. You're supposed to wear these trays for 22 hours a day, and while that seems impossible, you literally just take them out, eat your dinner, put them back in. That's it. Like, you shouldn't be taking them out for anything else. I was a very good student for the first maybe 5 months of this. I literally would only take them out to eat breakfast and dinner, and that was it. I didn't snack, I didn't do anything that I shouldn't. I didn't drink any tea with them in, I didn't drink anything that would stain them. But then I remembered that I have my tea quite milky, so it wasn't very hot, so I started drinking my tea with them in at work, just because as a teacher, sometimes it's quite difficult. I don't want to take out my braces in front of the students or in front of other teachers, and we have quite short breaks. We only have half an hour for lunch in the day, so I ended up just drinking my tea with them in, and they didn't end up staining too much, especially the fact that I only had them for a week. Now remember, I do not drink my tea hot. If you drink hot beverages, then it will compromise, the integrity of these. They need to stay strong, they shouldn't be melting. As well, I used to have to brush my teeth in the staff toilet, which to some people would be really embarrassing, and it was embarrassing for the first week, and then I just owned it. When people came in and saw me brushing my teeth, I would just say braces or just got Invisalign, and it would usually, we'd have a chat about it and they'd be interested in it, or they'd not heard it before, and then everyone just got used to it. After a week or two of me being in the bathroom brushing my teeth at lunchtime, everyone was like, oh, this Anya, she just brushes her teeth at work now apparently. I had a little fold down toothbrush, which was really handy because it just kept it clean. I had it in a little bag in the bathroom at work, which I really suggest, a little toothbrush that folds down on itself and a little thing of toothpaste, and I had one in my bag as well in case I had to go out. I also sometimes would forget to put it back in after a few hours, so instead of wearing it for like 22 hours, I'd wear it for 18 hours. That's fine as long as it only happens every now and again. Are you willing to risk your teeth not moving that month, or moving too much in a short space of time, and then like the gums receding or then becoming too loose and even losing teeth. Like, there are consequences to not doing it correctly. There's no point in saying I did Invisalign and I've got gum recession and 2 of my teeth fell out, and then it turns out it's because you only wore the retainer for 5 hours a day. So a few people asked me about the cost. I believe when I booked in with Invisalign Lite, it was initially $2,800, which might seem like a lot of money, but in comparison to normal braces, especially when I was growing up, and in comparison to veneers, whether it's just getting a full set of veneers in the UK or flying abroad and getting veneers and the upkeep of them, the fact that these now will stay straight for the rest of my life as long as I wear my retainer at night, I personally think that it was actually the most cost effective. So what was included in like my bundle: initial consultation was free, all of the appointments after that, all of the trays. So I did mention that I did my original set of 19 trays, and then I just wasn't quite happy with my bottom teeth. They weren't straight enough, so we did that again. And then when that was finished, there was a little tiny gap, which I'll pop a screenshot from my first video here. You can see there's quite a significant gap between the bottom teeth. I said I wasn't happy with that, so another set was sent off for, and I only had to wear 2 or 3 to then close that gap. Another question that I was asked was, is it painful? I had zero pain, absolutely no pain whatsoever. It felt like they were very tight to my teeth, and sometimes it felt like there was a pressure. So if you have, like, I have very sensitive teeth, but because I was washing them more often, and I made sure I was washing them with Sensodyne, which is like that pro enamel building thing, I actually ended up with less sensitive teeth by the end of it, because I was brushing them more with a sensitive toothpaste, which then built up the enamel, I suppose, which ultimately ended up them being less sensitive. But it just felt like pressure, especially like the first day you put them on, but I didn't mind that at all. I don't mind like a little bit of pressure on my teeth, but there was never a sharp pain. Like, so all of the sets were included in it. So the original set, and then 2 sets of revisions, a whitening set. So I'll see if I can pop it up here. I forget the name, but it was in like almost a fake syringe, and you popped it into your aligners, just like, let's imagine this pen is it. You just pop it in like this and then clip them down, and you could actually wear it at night. It didn't cause any sensitivity. So after my very last retainer, after my very last aligner, I suppose I should call it, and my teeth were all straightened up, there was still some issues. If you can imagine, my teeth where they had been had worn in a certain way, and now they were put a different way. Now they kind of had jagged angles on some of them for where they had worn, and then they were moved, and some of them were quite sharp. I wanted them to be nice and flat across here and kind of flat across there, but I know that usually the front teeth should have a tiny little bit of a difference. I had done some IPR. So IPR, I'm pretty sure, stands for like interproximal reduction. It's basically like a nail file that's as thick as a sheet of paper that goes between your teeth. And after they originally do the scan, there'll be little numbers on some of the teeth, like 0.5 or like 0.2, and that's just how much of a millimeter they need to take off one tooth to make sure that the other can sit against it properly. It's a very weird feeling to have. It's almost like a textured floss, like someone's flossing your teeth with a textured thread. That's how I would describe it. No hurt, no pain. So we had to do something along the lines of that just to straighten up these teeth here on the bottom. But obviously, if there's a piece missing from a tooth, you can't fix that by filing it down. So I had quite a large bit missing off this tooth here. I'll see if I can bring you closer. So I had quite a large bit missing off this tooth here. So what we did was we did bonding, and this is again like the enamel material that you used for the buttons for the attachments. When it's put on your tooth and basically filed to look like a part of that tooth, it is awesome, really awesome. Some people get it done completely over all of their teeth, and that was something I was looking into just because I liked the fake look a bit. But after we had done all of the aligners, I actually realized I didn't need it. I only needed it on like 2 teeth. So here, where there had been a part of a tooth missing, can you even tell? And here as well. I feel like that one's slightly more obvious because a lot of people usually have dents on their lower ones, but I love it. So that's where they put the cosmetic bonding, just to get them perfectly straight like that. How would I rate Rosacre Dental? 100 out of 10, 10 out of 10. My dentist, Rebecca, literally the soundest person ever, put me completely at ease, explained everything. One more thing that I forgot to mention is how am I going to keep them like this? So there's actually a permanent retainer on the back of both my top and my bottom teeth. So there's a bar that runs along the back that is held in place by, I suppose, that enamel material again. Would I recommend Invisalign? 100%. There is nothing about Invisalign that I thought was shady, scammy, trying to get your money. So finally, I have a retainer that I need to wear for the next few months, and then just at night after that, I'm pretty sure that it's just to make sure that the roots have completely taken and that the teeth are settled where they need to be. The retainers are slightly different to the actual Invisalign aligners in that they are much tougher. So this, for instance, is my top one. This is my bottom one. It also goes up over the gum a little bit. I'll pop it in. See how easy that is? Wow. Instant list, but usually I'll get used to them. You could barely notice them because there's no attachments on them. Done. And one thing that was cool and unexpected was when I got the retainers, they were on a porcelain printing of my own mouth. So these are my teeth now, 100%. And basically, so these retainers should sit perfectly onto these. Look at that, quite satisfying. It's quite weird to have a perfectly 3D version of your mouth here, but that is what my teeth look like now. And also it's so that if I ever need to buy retainers in the future, I can just send these off to the local lab and get it done. Overall, I hope that that's answered any questions that you have about it. I had so many questions and it took me quite a lot of time to research while I was going into it. I would 100% recommend Invisalign Lite if you're like a less complex case. And if you live like in Kent or around Maidstone or Rochester or anywhere like that, 100% recommend to go to Rosacre Dental and to see Rebecca. If you have any questions at all, just pop them in the comments and I will get back to you. Thank you so much for watching, listening to me. I will see you next week back to our regular scheduled programming of reading books and serving looks until I decide to get next, whatever I decide to get next done. Thank you, bye.